Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of February. I hope you're well. I would like to thank you all for sticking around. I know I disappeared a little longer than I said I would. But actually, I was pretty exhausted and I didn't realise how much I was exhausted until I sort of stopped for a little bit. And then I had a ton of like IRL things that needed taken care of as well. So I was just a bit like, So thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. I'll never abandon you for long, but sometimes I do have to take a bit of time, right? So other things to tell you. There will be an extended at the end of this reading if you're interested in that. There's a link down in the description box. You can follow to Vimeo and see that there. I have also done a 2021 overview for the first 6 months from January to June for each of the signs. There's also a link down there to that on Vimeo. I would just add that if you support me on Patreon at the higher tier, you get access to all of the extended stuff as part of that. So, you know, it's cheaper if that's something that you're interested in. That's the thing, and it's there. It's Queen of Wands. It's me doing my little sales pitch. Look at that. Anyway, all of that is done and it's out of the way. A moon rising on a velvety darkness. This is what I saw and I heard in the pre-meditation with your energy, and it was Scorpio. It was actually kind of divine. I really liked it. I have no idea what it means. I'm assuming that the reading will in some way tie into that as we pull the cards, but who knows? I mean, I have no expectations. I just wanted to say it before I forgot it because, you know, sometimes I get to the other end of the reading and I'm like, oh, the thing. But there, it's been delivered now. So now I have 3 cards for Scorpio, please. Cards for Scorpio. Interesting. We have the Devil at the bottom of the deck. That is that's Capricorn energy, and it's followed by Judgment, which is a very interesting combination of cards. The Devil talks about all of those things that are toxic and difficult in our life, but essentially it's underwritten by fear. You know, when you're talking about abuse and toxic behaviour, usually there is fear at the root of it somewhere. With the Judgment card, it's a really potent combination of somebody perhaps looking at those things that they fear and going some way to try and slip the leash of it. Look at this blue tit here, look, it's chained to the rock. In the standard depiction, you've got some big like devilly thing here and a naked woman and a naked man chained by the neck to the plinth that this devil is standing on. But the chain is very loose. And if they really thought about it, if they really intended it to be so, they could take that, lift it over their head and release themselves, right? This looks like making really important decisions about the things that keep you tethered. So let's pull some clarifiers. And oh, it was so velvety, Scorpio. It was a real velvety darkness. Ooh. Tell me about that. Oh, did I tell you what we had? We did, yes. 7 of Pentacles. Where's that here? Yeah, felt that. Right. King of Wands, please. Fuck. Well, that was the Page of Wands. We had 2 cards that spun out as well, the Chariot and the 2 of Swords, but they're going back in the deck because I kind of feel like I dropped these rather than shuffled them out. Tell me about the King of Wands, please. Thank you. 6 of Swords again. Amazing. Tell me about the 6 of Swords and the 9 of Cups, please. I'm not taking cards that come out sideways. That is my arbitrary rule. They have to jump. I don't take them when they fall to the right. So, behave. 6 of Swords. Right. We have the Devil, plus a ton of cards who totally misbehaved and dropped out to the left, right. Oh, I like this Scorpio. Do you know what? This very phenomenon has been happening in all of the readings that I've been doing it recently. So like the 2021 videos, the videos for the signs and for my personal clients as well. I'm getting one card out and then it's coming out repeatedly over and over again from different decks. Right. I like this, Scorpio, because I can feel the strength of the intent behind it. It's strong, and the moon rising above a velvety darkness is... it's actually bang on. I love it. Right, so let me get one more deck because... Wild Unknown, wonderful. I feel like we're going to be pulling extra cards in a second. Even though actually the story is quite clear as it's playing out here, but I always like to look for the nuance, and particularly with you, Scorpio, because nothing's ever quite as it seems. There's always something going on below the surface with you. So in your recent past, we have this Seven of Pentacles, and this is about everything just being blah, right? It's like, it's mediocre and it's shit. Maybe your energy levels have been really, really low recently. A Seven of Pentacles, for me, indicates a situation where nothing's right. Like, it just doesn't feel right. It's not sitting properly. Everything's just grim, right? And maybe some of that is energetic. Maybe you just have no energy to do anything. Maybe the people that are surrounding you at the moment are just being a bit odd with you, you know? Maybe your work isn't fulfilling you in the way that you know, that it used to, things like that. But the energy of this card is about sort of taking stock. It's looking at every single aspect of your life and going, why is it so shit? Is it that I need to put more effort into something somewhere? Or is it that I need to pull away from it altogether, right? Do I need to shut it down in some sort of way? One doesn't stay in this energy for long, or at least one shouldn't aim to stay in this energy for long, because whichever way you see it going, it requires an action from you, right? The two cards that we have underneath are the 10 and 8 of Swords, and this is interesting because it's really a card of being at the bottom, the 10 of Swords. So here's a situation that is kind of shit, we're not really enjoying it very much, and here's you, very energetically, lying at the bottom of a deep hole going, what's the fucking point? Right? That's really strong. What is the fucking point? Everything is awful. I'm not enjoying it. I am trapped. I am stuck. I am possibly oppressed by the contents of my own mind. Right? The energy coming off this is it's a kind of flat line. You know, it's interesting that we don't have the 9 of Swords here, because the 9 of Swords, it's that over mental, it's that kind of hypervigilance. It's overthinking things. It's being kept awake at night, and maybe you are suffering from insomnia and stuff like that. But there's quite a defeatist feel about this, where, and that is, to a degree, a kind of passive energy compared to that of the 9 of Swords, which is very active, mentally punishing yourself. What about the 10 of Swords and the 8 of Swords, please? There we go again. So, we've got the Judgment card. Where did that come out before? Shadow card at the bottom of the deck. We've got the Judgment card again, and we've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Now, let's just put that to the side for a second. Let's concentrate on this card. It's the card of Virgo. And for me, it talks about not only knowing what is really, really important, right? So it's getting your priorities straight, right? And leading with that thing front and foremost. And often that can be the value of oneself. Let's not forget that too. And it's slow movements out in the world, out in the 3D, kind of doing a thing, trying to keep your pentacle aloft. And that can be your energy, it can be your time, it can be your care, right? I feel like you're completely flatlined, right? You've got no energy. It's almost like you don't really care, or you haven't really cared enough about anything to change it. But it feels like you've been pushed to a point where you are being asked to exercise your judgment, right? I like the judgment card here. So we've got that dove kind of elevating above a velvety darkness, perhaps. And one more card for that, please. We have the Ace of Cups, and I feel like that's the thing that's been missing here for you. There's been very little love for yourself, for the situation that you find yourself in at the moment. There may be people around that you are grateful for, and maybe those people are the ones who've stopped you from perhaps even sinking lower than you have been. But there's very little in the way of motivation or movement here. Yeah, we see you can't even be fucked to be conflicted about it. Right? It came out sideways. It's the Five of Wands. That's conflict. That's sometimes competition, and it's sometimes internal conflict, and it's sometimes conflict with other people. This is moving away from that conflict, right? It is a stabilization of that energy. You're sitting right there. Yeah, not that way, not that way. Just like, And we have the Devil at the bottom of the deck again, right? Repeating cards all over. I'll show you again in a second. So, January is one of those months where everybody has the fucking blahs, right? It is. It's exactly what fucking happened to me, except I had loads and loads of other stuff that I needed to focus my attention on. And actually the last thing I wanted to do was do that. I kind of wanted to lie on the sofa for a month and do nothing. But you know what, if I had lay on the sofa for a month and done nothing, I don't think I'd feel necessarily rested by the end of it. And I would certainly be kicking myself about what I had not done, what I had not achieved in the interim, right? I'm a Capricorn ascendant, so that sort of shit like really bothers me. Productivity is something that I value very, very strongly. So, that is where you have been. The difference between where you have been and where you are showing up now is palpable, right? Something's shifted here. And I like it because in your current energy, you have the King of Wands. This is the absolute pinnacle of the energy of doing something. Anything. Doesn't really fucking matter. It's about moving. It's about experiencing. It's absolutely not sitting around and waiting for things to change, right? I'm kind of nosy, so I'm going to pull another card to see if there's anything that indicates what shifted in the interim. Maybe, King of Wands, we literally just had a full moon in Leo. Maybe that did some wonders for some of you. Do you know what? It fucking sorted me out. Treat. I felt the energy of that moon coming forwards for about 3 or 4 days before it actually really hit. And I feel like I've snapped out of a fog, which was really, really important. That's King of Wands. The Tower. Now that is an energy that I associate with Scorpio really strongly. There's something quite tower-like about, How interesting. Now I don't usually do this, right? Usually I just have the 3 main cards and I read the clarifiers for each and do that. But sometimes there's such an about face between one energy and another that I'm usually quite intrigued to go and find out what it was that bridges these two things, or what occurred. And we have the Tower energy here, right? That's a sudden realization. Perhaps something happened, somebody said something, but it was like a jolt, like exactly like I just described there, like just kind of woke you up from the fog that you have been in. You're like, holy fuck, I was sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I'm not sure that you have been feeling sorry for yourself, but maybe a little bit feeling sorry for yourself. That's kind of how it feels. And maybe even that you've been trying to do things, you've been trying to get on top of stuff, but actually just the will, the energy, the motivation just has not been there at all. But now it's coming back, and it's come back very suddenly, because there the Five of Wands is the right way up now, right? There's the conflict, and there's the Nine of Swords, like the 2 cards that I was talking about, and here they are. That's overthinking, that's anxiety, that's what else is it? It is insomnia. It's that awful gnawing feeling that kind of just knitters away at you, that you should be doing something else and you haven't done it yet, and why should, you know, you shouldn't stay still. But honestly, this kind of feels like you're kicking your own ass, Scorpio. And maybe it happened when you woke up one morning and you're just like, what have I been doing? You know, you're a very capable sign, and you're one that's very, very effective at instituting change for yourself, right? You've got all of those degrees of evolution that you can go through, which are so many more than your standard sign. And you can just, provided the will and the intent and the determination is there, you know, you get in front of a determined Scorpio, they're going to go right through you to get to their fucking goal. And it feels like this is what you've done. You've picked yourself up by the scruff of the neck because of this sudden realization. It's kind of hit you sideways. So I like that, because then what you've done is you've shifted into this King of Wands energy. You are taking responsibility for what it is that you're doing. And it's like, where this energy of kind of like, everything's a bit shit now. Do I invest more? Do I, you know, invest less? What do I do? It's like, you know the answer now. And I've got to say, for most of you, it's divesting. It's pulling your energy out of whatever it is that wasn't satisfactory to you. We've got the Page of Wands and we've got the Six of Swords there, right? A Page of Wands is about, but it's about excitement, you know? So I always feel when I see the Page of Wands, there's a kind of build-up of energy, and it isn't yet movement, but it is the precursor to movement. Of course, we've got the Six of Swords directly after it, so there's the movement, the precursor, and then the movement itself. It feels like you're getting fired up about something, right? And leaving something behind. What it is that you're leaving behind could be abstract, as in, it could be the attitude that you have been in for the last month or so. It could be the things that you've been worrying about for the last month or so. You really allowed them to get you down, and then you're like, do you know what? I'm going this way and I've got important things to do. Or it might be, you know, a relationship, a job, even a friendship group, something like that, right? However it applies to you, you took the decision not only that you were going to move away from it, but then that you actually did do that. Right? Because a lot of the signs are very good at deciding things and then, you know, not actually doing anything about it at all. Tell me about the Six of Swords, please. We have the Page of Swords. Wonderful. Oof. And the Son of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups, and the Ten of Pentacles. That's interesting. Yeah. There's been a bit of a lesson here for you. Right, there's that Seven of Pentacles again in the middle of the fucking cards there. We've also got the Seven of Swords, and we've got the Three of Wands, no, Three of Swords here. And it feels to me like you were deceiving yourself about the fact that you actually had the power to change your circumstances all along. Like you've just been sat in self-deceit, and there's a determination that I feel about you now. You're absolutely not going to do this any longer. So it's like you tricked yourself into sitting still for ages and being miserable about the fact that everything was shit, without really paying attention to the fact that you held the power to change it the whole time, you know? And this about face has happened so fast. You're just like, right. There's a real increase in energy suggested with both the Page and the King of Wands there. It's like it just came back from nowhere, which is actually exactly how I felt, you know, on the run up to this full moon. It was just like, I had no energy. I could barely, like, it was really hard putting one foot in front of the other, and I had shitloads of things that I needed to sort out and to look after and things like that. And then I was pissed off about the fact that I had no energy. And then I considered the structure of my existence, and I was like, is it really any wonder? What are you doing to promote that energy in you, right? There's a real vitality about the King of Wands. It's a Leo card after all, right? It's about movement. It's about getting your body moving. And I realised that I'd spent a lot of time sat down doing things, you know. I did personal readings and stuff like that also. But like, my twins have reached the top of the pile to be assessed for autism spectrum disorder, right? And the first part of that was me being interviewed extensively over 2 appointments about both children. That was nearly 6 hours between those 2 appointments of being sat and talking to someone about my children. That fucking, you know, that's an entire day. It was just gone. Like that. But I wasn't moving. All the gyms are shut in the UK, so I'm not going and I'm not kicking shit all the time, you know. We need to move. And I think there's something of Scorpio that needs to move sometimes as well. Yeah. Fixed signs get very complacent if they stand still for too long. Like, it does them good to move every now and again. And I think that's true for you. Anyway, let's go back to you. Leaving behind of things. We've got the Page of Swords here, and this is critical, and it works really well as actually a bridge from that energy to this, because it talks about a new way of seeing things, a new way of thinking about things, right? It is in some ways the card of the student, but it's talking about mental expansion, and it feels like you got some incredible insight. And, you know, to wit, this experience has not been wasted, because what you saw was that you could pull yourself out of it. What you have experienced is that you can pull yourself out of it. Right? Big brain energy. And then we've got the Knight of Cups and we've got the Ten of Pentacles. Right? Here's some movement, more movement, but it's much more... I think you're actually being quite compassionate with yourself, Scorpio. Huh? Because you can totally kick your own ass and be compassionate about it. Like Scorpio that I used to know was very good at kicking my ass, but doing it compassionately, right? That doesn't feel like you're beating yourself up about it. It actually feels like you kind of do see the point of being in the energy that you're in, and it's almost like you're so fucking pleased that you pulled yourself out of it, that it doesn't even occur to you to be cross with yourself that you were in there for so long to start with. And then we've got this Ten of Pentacles here. That is, you know, it's earth energy, but it talks about commitment. It talks about, well, sometimes it can talk about business, and this might be your business. Sometimes it can talk about school. It can talk about, you know, those structures that we build for ourselves that indicate in some way, you know, a material prosperity. But it is about commitment. It is about hard work. And it feels like you are putting the hard work into you now. Right? There's a determination. I just keep saying this really strong determination under here not to fall into that same energy again. Right? Understanding that you can only you can lift yourself out of this. And sitting around and waiting for the answer to come is just going to have you sitting around and probably getting fat. Right? So then we come to what's coming towards you in February, and we've got the Six of Swords and we've got the Nine of Cups. This is quite an interesting combination, right? The Six of Swords we've already gone over here. That is the movement away from something and towards something. And what we've got here is the Nine of Cups. It seems like this energy that you're in at the moment is kind of overhauling every single aspect of your life now. And whereas before you were kind of looking at everything and going, well, it's all a bit shit, where do I go from here? Well, I can't go from here, I can't do anything about it, I'm stuck, I'm trapped, everything's awful. This energy is more of, what do I want? If things are not cool with my life, if there are things going on that I'm not enjoying, then how do I change them? How do I bring more of what I do like towards me? And then we've got this really incredible combination of cards down here. We've got the Devil again. We've got the Hierophant in reverse. Ooh, spicy. And we've got the King of Wands again. Right? Notice how this King of Wands is looking at both of these characters here. And these characters are both facing forward, but the King of Wands has got his beady eye on them right now. He is going to do something about this, okay? Because it feels like what is sitting between you and what you want is that you're not entirely sure what it is that you want, actually. And if you do know what you want, you're not sure if it's actually really good for you. And if by extension, if you do know what you want, actually some of you are not actually sure that that is what you want, but maybe it's what you thought you wanted rather than being the actual thing. It's so complex, Scorpio, honestly. So this devil energy here, this is what we're talking about, right? This is what the shadow cards at the bottom of the deck were talking about. It is you and the ways in which you keep yourself trapped to things. You know, you keep yourself restrained by things. And by things, I mean your fears and your own mental entrapment, right? Overthinking sometimes, certainly. But this feeling of disempowerment is shifting here, because you're taking ownership of these things. So the devil is everything that I've already enumerated, right? We know what that is. And in fact, we can see now that the description of the devil that I was talking about there, right? The card that's really fascinating me here is the Hierophant in reverse. Now this way around, it talks about tradition, it talks about structure, it talks about hierarchy often. But to me, it feels always like a big creaking edifice, because it does also talk about society. I mean, I sometimes see it as being things like government and stuff like that, right? Because you've got somebody, you know, on high with doing his, you know, thing and issuing all of his, you know, edicts, which apparently have come down through God or whatever, you know, to the acolytes that are here at the bottom of the card. It stands for stability. It stands for things that stand because they always have stood, right? Sometimes it can indicate marriage and stuff like that, because it's see it, you know, talking about societal institutions. But it is traditional. It is the way that things have always been done. Sometimes it's society altogether. Now, this action here is quite spicy, and I like this, and I like that it's you that's doing it, Scorpio, because this is kind of flipping things over, right? It's a moon rising on a velvety darkness, because it's you looking at things that you have done. And by this I mean we're talking about patterns that you repeat, thought processes that you repeat, perhaps when things feel like they're not going your way, a propensity towards kind of feeling resentful about it for a while, you know, and brooding about it instead of actually acting on it. You're flipping the script on everything. And anything that you've done, because you've always done it, is now up for review. Why do I always do that? You know, Scorpios make incredible detectives, really great detectives, because you've just got that instinct for tracking down information, right? But it feels like it's going within, because it feels like you have finally realized that you are the one who is standing in your own way. It is not about the people that have come into your life and let you down and moved on. It is not about, you know, relationship fuckery. It's not the common denominator in all of these things, Scorpio, has been you. So what do you need to change? What has always existed that now needs to go? What are you tethered to that you don't want to be tethered to anymore? And here is this King of Wands going, I'm gonna fucking sort this shit right out, right now, right? No messing. If it had been the King of Swords, then, you know, he might have contemplated it all a little, you know, and you know, sat there and thought about it quite studiously. If it was the King of Pentacles, well, I think he probably would have concentrated on trying to turn that Hierophant up the other way. You know, the King of Cups would have just been very lovely and compassionate about it, but there's no action there, right? You are the King of Cups. That is the Scorpio card. But for this reading, you have chosen to take on the energy of the Leo King, right? Because Leo King gets things done. And this is what you intend to get to get done moving forwards, because this is important. But it's irritatingly elusive at the moment, but it's shown its face enough that this is something that you want to work towards now. Oh, Scorpio, I really like this for you. If this has resonated with you, I'm going over to Vimeo now. I'm going to get into this a little bit more in the extended, see if there's anything that I can help pull out that might help you with this particular situation. If you don't want to do that, that is also absolutely fine. It's entirely down to you. Looks like February is going to be quite an important month for you. I like it. So know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.